Well, the Liverpool game didn't quite follow the script, but that one did. Oil Classico match review. Man City. Welcome back to another video on the channel, Newcastle fans. I've not long been in the house from the game. Disappointing, expected, frustrating in areas again. Those are probably my three words to sum up. We all went into this game not expecting very much. We didn't get very much. Very similar to Liverpool on Thursday. We expected a battering. We didn't get it in midweek, which gave us a bit of hope. I had a bit of hope going into this that we might have built on that slightly. But it went exactly how you would expect a team who are fighting relegation and can barely get a shot on goal to play against one of the best teams in world football. The scoreline's no surprise. I think anyone who's been in the football wilderness for the last 6 months could have still woken up from a coma and saw that result and been like, yeah, would have called that one. So no surprise there. But again, there's plenty of things to talk about from that match. Firstly, I'd like to touch on Eddie Howe's team selection. I saw it walking into St. James's Park today and I wasn't too happy. I understand the rotation around the Christmas period, but is the rotation really overly necessary when we don't have a game until the 27th of December? I understand we played on Thursday, but Friday to recover, Saturday to recover. I don't know, it's a funny one for me, but I think when you're pulling out some of your most important players, and I don't think I would have said it 2 months ago, and I can't believe I am saying it because I've been a very big critic, but John Joe Shelvey, God, we lack John Joe Shelvey today, and in that midfield, just for his creativity and that ball over the top that might have got us on the break against what can at times look a bit of a shaky Man City defence when they play it round. So I was a bit disappointed. Kieran Clark, we were all horrified to see his name on the team sheet. I understand Eddie Howe has to keep rotating players and he wanted to freshen things up with the back, and Clark's come away from a 3-game break where he hasn't kicked a football. But I think Eddie Howe made mistakes today in his team selection, because look what Kieran Clark did 5 minutes into the game. And yes, it's all well and good. I totally appreciate hindsight is a wonderful thing. Of course it is. But are you really telling me that Fabian Schär would have made that same mistake? All I'll say is I watched the highlights back. We don't know whether Dubravka gave him a shout. We don't know that. Kieran Clark is an experienced defender. Yes, he didn't show it when he pulled back Pookie against Norwich. But the way he leaves that in such a attacking, sort of close and sort of situation, you don't normally see that very often in the Premier League. So I'm kind of thinking surely Dubravka or somebody has screamed leave, or Dubravka's ball or something. So I don't know. Only they as defenders will know. I don't know whether Eddie Howe's maybe going to come out and talk about it in his press conference, who knows. But that was an awful start. And I think if he hadn't been in the team, there's maybe a chance that might not have happened. Now, in terms of team selection, I think there was a lot of players came in that we would have expected. I wasn't overly shocked to see Almira on the team, and you know that Eddie Howe's only putting him in there for his work rate. That's why he's in against a team like Man City, where you've just got to defend, press as much as you can, try and get that transition into a counter-attack. And Miggy, you can maybe argue that's one of his stronger points, but another player to come in today that I was pissed off about before he'd even kicked the football from the first minute was Joe Willock. And I'm going to touch on him now. That's probably my next point of today. Do you ever go to the football match and just focus on one player? Like, you know he's been in the spotlight a little bit for maybe being bad, and you just watch him a little bit more. I was doing that today from my seat in the Gallagher. I was. And he's not up for it. He's not. His head's not in the game at the moment. I watched the man run around that field today. Didn't want the football at his feet. Was not moving for his teammates around him when they had the ball to open up some space to receive it. Wasn't making any bursts and runs into the box. And that bloke for me at the moment is not up for the fucking fight. I'm not going to sit here and say that we didn't give it a go today and there wasn't some heart on that pitch. There definitely was. We've seen that since Eddie Howe's walked in. But Joe Willock, for me, needs to go nowhere near that team anytime soon. Maybe stick him in against Cambridge in the Cup, see if he can bang a few goals to, I don't know, inject something into him. But shocking. No surprise at all he was hauled off at half-time. And I hope he goes up today and has a serious think about what the hell has happened to him since he signed for us permanently. And I'm talking about him now on every match review and match preview. And what does that tell you? Liverpool, he came on for a little bit. He didn't play much in that one. I don't want him anywhere near that midfield at the moment. He's offering us absolutely nothing. And I'm seeing way too many similarities. And we're seeing it more and more in world football now. When a player's on loan or a player is waiting for a new contract, he starts playing out of his skin. He gets that contract, we see a sudden change. Is it coincidence? I don't know. Has Willock maybe got something on going on behind closed doors that we don't know about that might be affecting him? I don't know. But if that is the case, you have to ask yourself, why is he in the fucking team? And he was shocking today. And he only played 45 minutes, and I will say he was shocking. So for me, he goes nowhere near that starting lineup. And that's coming from someone today who, hand on heart, sat and watched him a little bit closer. I almost felt like I was doing like player cam, like what Sky Sports used to do, without even realising. Because I just noticed something was up with him, so I just kept an eye on him when we had the ball, when we didn't have the ball. And I'm sorry, it needs to be better. Next point for me would definitely be Matt Ritchie at left back. I've watched the goals back. Yes, there was nothing we could have done about him playing there today. We knew he was going to play. I talked about it in the match preview. But it's no surprise that 2 goals went in from crosses at the back post. And I think when Ritchie's played left back, we've seen it time after time. I'm not saying he's quick enough to beat Mahrez to the ball. I'm not saying he's quick enough to beat Sterling to the ball. I'm just saying we see lots of goals in that left back position when he plays. And I think there was one moment in the second half when he burst out to try and tackle De Bruyne, who turned him 7 ways to Sunday, and suddenly we were screwed because Gabriel Jesus was running down the right-hand side, there was nobody there. And I'm thinking to myself, Richie, what are you doing? Why have you come to that central role to try and win the ball? And he shouts a lot, he whips in the odd decent cross, but I'm sorry, he for me is someone who needs to be moved on. He's not Premier League quality for me, and he's certainly not a Premier League left back. Holy moly. You can join Kieran Clark on that list. Another one for me that I want to talk about, if we talk about individual performances, is Almiron. The first 10 minutes summed up, and I said to the bloke sat to me today, summed up Miguel Almiron as a footballer, be all and end all. He won the ball with great running, great perseverance and tracking. It intercepted it from Man City, and he was on the burst. We all got off our seat, and I was just thinking, he's going to shit himself. He's going to get shitty kegs here. And he just did not have a clue what to do with the football. And then about 5 or 6 minutes later, we were in a great position where he had the ball on the right-hand side, and you've just got to whip it in first time, and he comes back. We end up coming back to the edge of our box, and he was actually inside the 18-yard box at that point, and everybody in the ground groans. And Miguel Almiron, for me, will always be someone who works the bollocks off, but he has no quality in the final third. I actually read an article from the Evening Chronicle about Miguel Almiron, how I don't remember who the writer was, but he said he didn't like the criticism because what Miguel Almiron does is he always makes the pass before the pass that gets goals. I'm not seeing that. I don't know what Almiron, maybe you Newcastle fans who are watching this video have been watching lately. I do not see that Miguel Almiron. And he offers us nothing going forward apart from he works his bollocks off and he runs a lot and he wins free kicks because he's nippy in winning the ball back. I'm at the end of my tether with Miguel Almiron, and I know it was Man City Day, the opposition were fantastic, but when we did have the ball in good areas and he was the man at the forefront, you just know what's going to happen. It's going to roll into nothing. And that happened in that first little spell at the start of the game really summed him up for me as a footballer. The penalty, absolute disgrace. Absolute disgrace. And I'm not saying that penalty would have changed the game, but that would have put us in at half-time 2-1 down. And then it's a different team talk from Eddie Howe altogether. And we are just not getting the rub of the green at the moment. I talked about these Christmas fixtures and I said how you need a bit of luck to get the wins against Leicester, Liverpool, Man United, or just a point. And today, how on God's earth VAR in their little studio eating the burgers and chips, or maybe it's the Yorkshire puddings today with the screens in front of them, can have a look at that and go straight back. I don't even think it was properly checked, I was hearing after the game. It's a stonewall penalty. I do not give a shit whether that ball is nowhere near Fraser. He's running at pace. Edison clears him out. Sky Sports have said it's a penalty. Everyone who's watched that has said stonewall penalty. I listened to the commentary on Sky Sports when I watched the highlights. They're all like, oh, God, VR's going to go that one. And they couldn't believe it. So how that is, I know there's talks about corruption. I'm not going to go down that route. And whether it's like, oh, the Premier League's corrupt, they don't want to give us anything because we're rich. I don't necessarily think it's that. I just think VAR is so flawed and we are seeing it time after time after time. If we can all see that James Maddison died last Sunday, how come VAR can't? If we can all see a head injury that Mike Dean glances at, how come the referee isn't? And again today, how is that? This is where video technology is needed. If the referee thinks maybe Edison hasn't touched him, get straight to VAR. VAR will tell you in your ear it's a penalty. Give it to Callum Wilson. Bang, 2-1 on your bike. Let's see where we go from there. It's a joke. It's a fucking farce. And I'm certainly not going to sit here and say that the penalty would have changed things and we would have got something out of the game today. But the penalty would have changed the perception of the game. That team talk at half time. The atmosphere. Maybe the nerves from Man City. Who fucking knows? But we'll never know, will we? Because VAR is an absolute joke at times. And I don't care who's going to say to me, Matthew, these things all figure out over a season. The whole point of VAR coming in is that things don't need to balance out over a season. That was only when referees were making the calls. Now every decision should be right. So that's what makes it even more farcical that people are still saying that it'll balance out over the season because we'll get a dodgy VAR decision. How is there even such a thing as a dodgy VAR decision? The rules are the rules. Can someone please... Oh, God. Didn't want to get too much onto that one because I'll rant all day. Positive performances from today. I thought Dubravka had a solid enough game. He made some good saves. Joe Linton again, fantastic. He really has. If ever you needed to see what can happen when a player doesn't play managed by someone by the name of Steve Bruce, it's Joe Linton. Different player, different footballer at the moment. He's all over the pitch, left, right and centre. And he's making runs forward. He's spreading it quickly. He's running at plays. He's hard to muscle off the ball. He never stops working and he keeps winning tackles, interceptions, slide tackles. He's up for it. It's fantastic to see. Yeah, so he was a standout for me. Ryan Fraser again. He could have had a penalty. Should have had a penalty. I thought he was good. I thought he needs to keep playing. He was full of running, the same as Liverpool. To see a player put in that sort of shift within the space of 72 hours was fantastic. So Fraser, for me, needs to stay. Callum Wilson, I feel sorry for the bloke. I've never seen a bloke starved more at the moment than what he's been of opportunities, chances, even just chances to run at the defence. And I think, again, going back onto a negative, but just talking about our attacking players, if ever there was a sign today that we are lacking something in that final third, it's today. Well, if you're going to beat Man City, you need to be clued up and smart in your decision making when you get in the final third. There was so many occasions today when Wilson should have had a look at Maximin being free one time in the second half. Miguel Almiron, as I mentioned, poor decision making coming backwards. Fraser, that chance that he had in the second half when Maximin rolled in free, just put your foot through it and he rolls it gently across the box so Edison collects. We're just not good enough in the final third. And what I'm worried about at the moment is teams like Norwich are better in that final third than us. I'm sorry, but what I've watched, they maybe are. We need to improve in those areas because Maximin is not offering enough for us to rely on him anymore. And just to finish, I think that's the hardest games over with. We now have Man United and Everton. Could we get 4 points from Man United and Everton? Yes, of course we could. Man United is shite at the back. We can beat them on our day. We just need to get at them. Everton, again, now to summit, absolutely nothing about Everton at the moment. We've got to start taking some points. And I don't think I've ever had a Christmas where what I've asked Santa Claus for is January to come, because that's normally one of the most depressing months of the year, but that's what I'm asking for now, because let's face it, Newcastle fans, money needs to be spent if we're going to get out of this dogfight. And Eddie Howe knows that. I watched his press conference, his long interview. If you haven't checked it out, have a look on YouTube, Eddie Howe's Sky Sports interview. He knows he needs to spend money. I wouldn't be surprised if we try and spend 120 to 130 million in January. We need 6 new players at least. And that's what our relegation is going to come down to for me. Defenders, massively important. A couple of attacking players, and you'd probably see a backup striker for Wilson as well. And we'll see. I do think players will sign for us in January, and that's where our season might actually start. Oh, but we didn't expect anything today. We didn't get anything. Was there as much hope as there was against Liverpool? No. But we go again. We weren't that bad today, I didn't think. Some people, not going to name any names, some YouTubers have called us cowards after that performance today. You can fuck off as far as I'm concerned. That's a load of bollocks. Some players, yes, but there was enough fight in us today. And on another day, if our decision making was better, we could have maybe got something. Penalty decisions went our way. So yes, we were beaten by the much better team. Quality all over the field. But hey, let's look at Man City and think to ourselves that's where we could be in 10 years. Because that's what all I was thinking towards the last 15 minutes of that match. That's where we could be. As always, Newcastle fans, if you've liked this video, give us a subscribe, give us a click, give us a little thumbs up. Get us on Facebook and Instagram. And, well, it's the last game before Christmas. So, wasn't quite the Christmas present we wanted from Santa. But we go again. Man United. That'll be what I'll be asking Santa for now, if I've been a good lad. 3 points against them bastards. Hope you all have a lovely Christmas, and I'll touch down for a Man United match preview, probably from the Christmas jammers after too much turkey and pigs and blankets. Enjoy Christmas too, fans.